This is the only way you can be happy, or the key to happiness. Our topic for today is going to be the key to happiness. Now, what is the key to happiness? What is that particular tool that I can use to always make myself happy in all situations? How can I always be happy? And is it even possible? Is it even possible for man to always be happy? Or is that just a dream? I'll be making your answers known to you today. So, the key to happiness, I'm going to be using a text from scripture. Isaac, you're going to be using the Bible. The Bible is a fake book from... The Bible is simply just a scientific book that has been misused by religious people to get certain things from certain people, from the masses. So the Bible is a scientific book that you can use to... That is actually an instruction for man to live, because the only people who can understand the Bible are human beings. So it's specifically given to man to operate life on his terms as a creator, because our body is the temple of God. So if our body is the temple, then obviously this is simply just a garment, and the reality is inside. So now, the key to happiness. What is the key to happiness? How can you always be happy? The verse I'm going to be using is Romans chapter 14 verse 22, and it basically says, happy is he that condemneth not himself in that thing which he alloweth. What is that? That's so old version English. Happy is he that condemneth not himself in that which he alloweth, which means there is joy, or the person is happy when he doesn't condemn himself, when he doesn't make himself feel guilty, when he doesn't have a negative conscience towards what he's doing. That's what it basically means, right? So now you ask yourself, okay, if I don't make myself feel bad in whatever it is I'm doing, does that mean I'm always going to be happy? I'm sure most of you guys have that voice in your head that's always bringing you down. There's this voice that is always trying to put you down, that's always trying to make you feel low. Let's say you're walking on the road and your mind is like, how did you do this? Did you do this thing? And you're like, oh shit. And then it's like there's this nagging voice that always tries to put you down in everything you're doing. Oh, you could have said this better. Oh, why didn't you wear this today? Oh, why didn't you look at that person this way? Oh, why didn't you practice what you said? It's always just that thing that makes you feel low. But the verse is very important. It says, happy is he that condemneth not himself in that which he alloweth. What that means is that we are the one allowing it. We are the one doing it. So whatever it is you're going to be doing, and this is going to be very weird, but I don't care if you're fat, if you're skinny, if you're doing poorly, if you're not doing poorly, because even your celebrities, your movie stars, your athletes, all of them, they suffer from things, and you see them dying from depression, you see them killing themselves, you see them feeling depressed, and you're like, okay, if you have all these things that every human in every metric is desiring to get by all means, and yet you are still sad, then what is the key to happiness? And that's what I've made clear to you today. What I've made clear to you today is from that scripture which says, happy he that condemneth not himself in that which he alloweth. The moment you begin to put yourself down, the moment you begin to feel guilty, the moment you begin to judge yourself, the moment you begin to put yourself low or inferior in any way, bro, you have killed the key to happiness. Because the key to happiness is not in any external thing. Everything changes. You're going to see a new one and a better one and a better one. So it's beyond that. It's beyond that realm. Happiness, it's even beyond the realm of emotion. I love to see it as a state of inner peace and tranquility, where you know all things. So you reach that point where you no longer put yourself down for the things that you do. I don't care what it is that you do, and it can be very weird, but I don't care what it is that you do. The moment you don't put yourself down, you don't feel guilty, you don't feel low for whatever it is that you do. The caveat is that in this thing, when you begin to do things like this, you can be comfortable, you can be lazy and nothing, but you can still be okay where you are, because you are the one that allowed yourself to be like that. So if you even understand that scripture, you can be a lazy, destitute, broke-ass person, and yet you can still be happy living your life, simply because you understand that you don't condemn yourself for living the life the way you chose to live your life, because you choose to live your life that way. So we are always making choices. The key, and one of the greatest key that you understand too, is also knowing that you have the ability to make a choice. That's a different topic for a different day. But in essence, what I want you to understand, the key to your happiness is when you don't judge yourself. Even when you want to become a Christian, what do they first tell you? You have to first say, I am a sinner. You have to first claim that you are a sinner. You have to first claim that you are low. You have to first claim that you are destitute. Because when you make those claims, then you'll not be like, oh, you need salvation. They will not like save you. I don't know, you know. But we are always making claims to either make ourselves feel low or to make ourselves feel above. I mean, I would advise you, I would encourage you to give yourself that perspective, that allowance to put yourself in that high perspective, because when we do it, then life can change for us. Life will only change based on the capacity of the individual, and the capacity of the individual is based on the type of perspective that he's focusing on. You cannot be focusing on a negative perspective and expect to get a positive outcome. It doesn't work that way. You always reap what you sow. And because we're always reaping what we sow, then obviously we should sow right seeds, the seeds that help us to grow, the seed that doesn't put us down, the seed that lifts us up, the seeds that make, you know, our dreams to come true. That is the perspective that we should dwell in, because when we dwell in that perspective, then things will align based on what we have chosen. So the key to your happiness is in your lack of condemnation towards yourself and towards other people. The fact that you haven't condemning other people means that the whole notion, the reason why you're condemning them, the fact that condemnation is even a thing in your vocabulary should be eliminated from it. Why? Because every single thing that is done by him. That life-giving factor that every religion attests to as God, every single thing is performed by him. And because every single thing is performed by him, condemnation should not be in the dictionary. Condemnation, sure, comes from that same awareness. But I'll explain why condemnation can lead to your growth. But that's not the aim of this topic. The aim of this topic is to understand that in anywhere that you are, right, you can always be happy. Simply because you know that you put yourself in this situation and you don't put yourself down for putting yourself in that situation. In all things you give thanks. That's why scripture says in all things you give thanks. Why do they say in all things you give thanks? Because in all things you give thanks. Because even when Jesus Christ was trying to feed 5,000 people, he gave thanks. It's not reasonable for you to give thanks in that state of mind or in that, you know, environment, for you to give thanks when you have to feed 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes. But in all things you give thanks. All things. Even when you are lazy, you give thanks. Even when you feel you're stupid, you give thanks. Even when you feel you have done the most insane thing in this world, you give thanks. And giving thanks is not obviously not this verbal, oh, I thank you. It's just this acknowledgement of where things come from. Because I can verbally say thank you, but my heart cannot be with you. So that thank is of no that apology or that thank you, yeah, is of no relevance. The greatest one is when you acknowledge where things are coming from. At that point, that's the greatest thank you can ever give anybody. So the key to your happiness is in your non-condemnation of self and ridding yourself of every guilt and not accepting anything that puts you down, and only focusing on that scripture that says whatsoever things that are just, pure, and virtuous, if there is any praise and if there's any virtue, think on these things. So the only thing you should think about are the things that lift you up. Anything that puts you down, any sermon, any preaching from any pastor, any teaching from anybody, anything that makes you feel low. If you do not want to feel low and you want to feel happy always, then don't condemn yourself. Always be happy where you are. Always accept yourself the way you are, because that's God in action. Thank you for listening. And if you would love to be someone who would love to order their minds in this distracted age, I would advise that you message me in my messenger, and then we'll pattern how we are going to work together so you can transform your life. Thank you for listening, and catch me in the next video.